Okay, first off, apologies if there are sharp intakes of breath. When I talk for prolonged periods, I start getting stuffy, like real stuffy. It's strange. I think it's almost like an interview or something where you're like, yeah, you know. Right. So let's do it. Tenet. I almost said that wrong then. Tenet. Um, even throughout first lockdown, when cinemas were closed, there was a buzz about this film. I remember, excuse me, I remember just the posters and the digital display boards everywhere on bus stops and and buses, and everywhere else, just all around London. And even people at work were banging on about Tenet. Oh, Ricky, you wouldn't go to the cinema. Have you seen Tenet yet? I was like, all right, give me a fucking chance. This is probably the first ever box office hit where people, were torn between going back to the cinema and to see it or just hashtag stay at home. Naturally, I went along to see it. And the atmosphere was even more bizarre as I entered the cinema that day. Tenet had been raved about for weeks, yet there were no more than sort of 14, 15 of us in the foyer. Pandemic or no pandemic, maybe I should have taken this as a sign. Oh, it'd be great to be able to pause and edit there so I could, as a sign, zoom, stop, carries on. Can't, carrying on. Tenet's one of the most... Apologies if you're a fan, seriously, but Tenet's one of the most fucking tedious films I've ever seen at the cinema. It's a pretentious piece of work where you can sense the director's intention was to bring a feeling of amazement, but ultimately ends up cringeworthy bollocks in most scenes and highly unnecessary. It's one of those films, I think, that you walk away from and immediately comment on how it borrowed elements from other movies. Do you know what I mean? And tried to sort of palm them off on its own. So basically, if anyone is heard saying, "I got Matrix vibes," or "Well, that reminded me of Looper," or "That was basically Inception," a bit like Shutter Island, no? They'd be 100% forgiven by me because they're completely right. The beginning of the film is quite promising. The protagonist meeting a scientist, well, the girl from the other house in Harry Potter, most of you would probably know her as, who shows him a handful of these bullets that have what's it called? Inverted entropy. They basically move backwards in time. This opens up the possibility of a war raging somewhere in the future, and these things, these things are being sent back as a clue. I mean, that itself is brilliant. The plot. I love things like that. I love the time bending and the twisting parallel world sort of things. It's excellent. Great. I was ready to enjoy. No less than 30 minutes later, and I'm still sat there with my little Starbucks, just waiting for something decent to happen. Those very brief moments in a dream where something wondrous happens, like you're gifted a pair of socks that give you the ability to fly, or you can walk on water, or you made it to another planet finally. But it lasts only a few seconds before the dream bounces in a completely different direction. That's the only way I can describe the beginning of Tenet. It presents itself as a never seen before or not seen in ages at least idea and concept, but then snatches it away and replaces it with just talky men in business suits, armoured police storming around, and people laying on boat decks working on their tan. Main character. That's right. Yeah, you're presented with a fascinating concept and then just left to sit there while nothing develops and the director sort of gets creative. Tenet's main drawback, I think, is it's the reverse. It's the reverse time flow. In some films or TV shows, fast forwarding, rewinding, or even freezing time can be fascinating and really proper absorbed if done well. It can really pull you in. Tenet goes way overboard, using too much of this concept. And some scenes, they're so long, they're so incredibly lengthy that the manipulation of time becomes just a complete shitting mess, completely baffling. A car chase. Oh, my sinuses have gone again. Jesus. A car chase in the film is a prime example. Your main man is hurtling along a freeway in pursuit of anyone, lost interest. I really don't give a shit by this point. Anyway, with a reverse time flow. So he's pegging it down a freeway with reverse time flow. And the scene, it just goes on and on and on and on. You get the picture. And on that little bit more, to the point of you just like, I just had my arms folded in front of me. I was like, for fuck's sake, can we just get on with it? What? Just get on with it. Simples. But by that time, that little spark of wonder in the corner of your mind that gets you wondering, what other films are out at the moment. It's just, the scene is over. So it's, by the time that little spark, it makes you wonder, I wonder what else is being released or worked on in Hollywood. The scene's over. So it may begin with a sort of speedy excitement, but the absolute overkill of time travel stretches beyond the entertainment factor, and it just becomes ridiculous. I honestly can't, for the life of me, work out why a lot of people raved about Tenet. I can't. I physically can't. It's shit. My apologies for being, well, not for being sort of blunt and honest, but apologies for narrowing this review, because I like to give, to bring the good and the bad elements, and I sort of did bring the good at the start, but it's shit. It really is. And the part where the main guy, he's what was he doing? I think Nolan thought it would be sort of gripping if he didn't have a name for some reason. So yeah, but other than Tenet, I suppose. So the main guy and Neil run up a towering building. It's that part. It's really not as enthralling as the trailer makes it look. Both of them spend a few seconds at least attaching themselves to the harness. So there's this faff going on when they come back down as well, as they, boom. That went well, huh? Yeah. You going shopping later? Yeah. I need some scones. I need scones for, whatever. Obviously, this is made up, but it might as well be that, because by the time they fucked around with the harness and the hooks and the strappy belts and stuff, I was just lost. So I swear that bit where they're running up a building, I swear they tried to sort of portray it as the next Inception in the trailer, with people scaling buildings at a strange angle or running back down it, but they're going up. And it couldn't be further from Inception, to be honest. And what the hell the airplane scene was about, I don't know. Why the hell was there even a private art gallery in an airport terminal? Almost none of the film made sense. But let me guess. The director says, hey, we're not meant to understand. The misplaced elements are open to interpretation. I don't know, I've gone gravelly American. Open to interpretation at the same time as questioning whether the time slip directly impacts an art gallery in a fucking airport terminal. blah blah blah. No. Sorry, not for me. Not for me. I watch a film, right? I go and see a film to be intrigued and really get engrossed and interested in the concept. I want to get to know the characters and empathize with them. The story, just be engulfed in the story and just I don't watch a film to be purposely to be irritated even by purposely messed up action where it literally feels as though the director wanted to get creative and just fell flat on his fucking ass. Some films make it work. The place the characters find themselves in begin to shift because of their unpredictable nature or natural state or the chain of events following an elaborate trap that's laid for the victim, etc. This airplane scene was just plain just plain stupid and irrelevant. It really was. I couldn't I didn't like it. But of course, half the scene was played backwards, so they managed to get away with it. The restaurant scene where I hope I'm not giving too much away, by the way. This is it's just I'm trying to make it a review and not a spoiler. Fuck it. But yeah, the restaurant scene, have to point this out, where the protagonist meets Michael. They couldn't be asked to give Michael Caine a character name. Is slightly strange. I mean, I can overlook the fact Caine is playing himself yet again and not acting like he does in everything else. But it was his speech that caught my attention. Clearly the man had some bread stuck to his palate or the roof of his mouth, because for the first 30 to 40 seconds he speaks like someone who has just literally gobbed a scone. I don't want to keep referring to scones, but he's just gobbed a scone, got it stuck in the roof of his mouth, and then they got action. He's like, oh yeah, well next time how are you gonna you're gonna help out by not doing as much. It's like, sorry? Yeah, you might want to try salad next time, Michael. I was quite surprised at Tenet. The hype had been massive, and this was the only mainstream cinema hit to break through the pandemic lockdown barrier and be screened. I specifically remember that. It was huge. But as the complete opposite of my expectations, it was goddamn ball busting to sit through. In fact, my balls had busted, but had also dispersed. Do you know what I mean? So I could never get them back. Yeah, and I could never get my time back, ironically. It was ball busting to sit through. It really was. Yeah, most of it runs backwards. Big whoop. It doesn't make it a cinematic fucking masterpiece. I honestly don't see what the fuss was about. It would have been nice though. It would have been nice for time to run backwards about 3 hours as I left the cinema, to be fair. But that is 3 hours I'll never get back. To summarize, there are good and bad elements of Tenet. It's watchable and it's action packed from start to finish. So if you like sort of things like Fast and Furious, car chases, that sort of thing, your quid's in. And the what's it called? The time bending aspect where things are traveling backwards and stuff is brilliant. Okay, so I'm not saying the whole film is a pile of bollocks. Okay, but I'm saying quite categorically, I would never, ever sit through Tenet again. I wouldn't do it if I was paid. No, never again.